The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Walmart. New beauty is in bloom at Walmart, and it's all about springtime radiance. From Drybar, Tula Skincare, and hundreds more available online, Walmart has the premium brands you want and this season's on-trend products for flawless, glossy hair and hydrated skin. Big name beauty brands? Check. The things you love? Check. Find trending spring beauty and all you need to look and feel gorgeous at Walmart, on app and online.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to the It's Just Coffee. Hey, you guys already drilled. Hey, got the whole shebang. Well, welcoming to the podcast this week, Luke and Jimmy from Artisti Coffee Roasters.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
How are you finding Melbourne so far?
Oh, mate, the weather is turning it on for us.
It's not.
No.
He's being facetious.
Mate, every time we come back to Melbourne, the weather's crap. We definitely had 4 seasons in one day with hail, sun, sleet, and crap, windy, cold weather from the south. So
yeah, it was shocker yesterday. We had the guys at the team go outside and do the Melbourne Ice Latte yesterday.
Yeah,
grab
nice
a handful
way.
of hail. Yeah, and then
It looked
everyone's
good,
just
actually.
like, you're definitely going to have diarrhea after that one. There's a lot of dog pee out on that street. How was it? Did you actually drink it? Oh, actually, and also great news for the listeners. Liam is off mic today. There's no mic.
No
He's
mic for
off
Liam.
So you won't have to listen to him whining and ranting in the background.
You've really got it out for Liam. Did you do something yesterday? Okay.
No, actually, I am really proud of him. It was great. I was at Fine Foods yesterday, and I just get a text message with the video of the iced latte, and I'm like, proud dad with the kids back at the studio, filming content by themselves, getting it up on the internet.
I mean, it was opportunistic as well. Like, it's one thing to have, a set of jobs laid out for people to do while you're gone, but to improvise like that.
That's why I was proud.
And to nail it as well, to nail the brief.
Yeah.
Employee of the month right there.
Yeah, employee of the month right there. I mean, our employee of the month, all the staff are getting annoyed because we do put an employee of the month up on the wall. And so far it's been our Epson inkjet printer and also then bicarbon vinegar for cleaning out the toilet pipes. So maybe one of the staff will make it onto the employee of the month, but not yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Well, I promised a scandal off air.
Oh, you did? You said you got a scandal.
juicy.
And
So-
me and Kirk now, we talk so much that we're now just holding stuff back from
Well,
one another,
yeah,
like not letting us know. So this
it's
is
like
news
podcast
to me
ammo.
too. Yeah.
But we were on the subject of all you can eat before we came on air. Some classics in Australia. So we used to have all you can eat: Pizza Hut, Sizzler,
Smorgies.
And the kids these days are missing out because you go and just peg yourself out on marshmallow jelly full of marshmallows. But my scandal is that on the weekend I got a sticky day pudding with my girlfriend. We ate the sticky day pudding. It was like a tray, you go put it in the oven. Probably had half of it between us, and then there you go, sticky day pudding. But the next day, she went out for dinner, and I hadn't had any dinner. There's a supermarket downstairs that has the sticky day pudding. So I thought, screw it. It's like a bachelor nut. I went and got a sticky day pudding, and I had a whole sticky day pudding for dinner. That's my scandal.
That is amazing.
It's a fucking
sticky day
scandal.
all by
It's a
yourself.
scandal. And to take that whole thing, sticky day, early hot take.
Just a sticky day by himself. Sticky day can be good with your partner, can be good alone. I've always said that.
The innuendo is coming, but
Innuendo.
okay, wow. But sticky day pudding, early hot take, best dessert?
Oh, it's bloody good. What were you doing, Sarah Lee? What's the sticky date situation?
Yeah, actually it was Sarah Lee.
Yeah, Sarah Lee. Sarah Lee does some good frozen stuff.
I got to say, my wife is a chef, and her sticky date is to die for.
Okay.
I can't. She'd freeze them up. We'd have them in the cafe, reheat them, and then they just disappear. So if you're up in our neck of the woods, I'll get her to make a sticky date.
All right, so you go to the Artisti Cafe, you ask for Luke's wife's sticky day.
Yeah, mate, it's at my house. It's a special only.
All right,
butterscotch sauce on it.
Oh, you're talking my language. Why are you here? Bring your wife.
Yeah. Booking link in the bio.
One thing that I also wanted to bring up early while we're talking about this, bit of controversy all over again. Now, there's been a lot of talk about mice over the past few years, about the Melbourne International Coffee Expo and about the, can we say, decline of mice and the quality of what's happening, people liking it and that kind of stuff. And then I think going to the Fine Foods Festival at the convention center yesterday kind of just started to cement that like even more when it's like quadruple the size. Like the amount of people there is wild. The amount of money being spent there is wild. It could be the death of mice having this kind of thing, or they have to do something really to shake it up. Because the other thing that I'm thinking is your Lamazocco, right? Let's say your Lamazocco, you spend all this money going to mice. Unless you got a brand new product that's revolutionizing the world of coffee, everyone knows what Lamazocco is. No one's going to the Melbourne International Coffee Expo and being like, oh, Lamazocco, that's great. Whereas you go to Fine Foods, you're getting a wider breadth of audience there. You're getting food people. You're getting a market that may not know about Lamazocco and may be interested in it. So I think there's that side. And I think the internet is also killing Melbourne International Coffee Expo because you've seen everything before you go.
We were talking about this. We didn't want to bring this up, but you've jumped straight into the bit of a hot take we had in the background. But 2015 for us was probably the biggest mice we ever went to. The World Barista Championships, you had the Tea Expo as well, and it felt amazing. And that's really where the decline has come down every single year. We definitely didn't go last year. We found it was a bit of a softer one even the year before, and there was a lot of industry talk around it. But yeah, reinventing has to happen. We've got to either merge with somebody else to bring in the bigger crowds, or something's got to change because it was the highlight, and it's sadly just not quite there.
Maybe take it on tour. Do we need to see it start popping up in some different cities outside of Melbourne? You know,
Coffs Harbour would be good, I reckon.
Yeah, there you go.
Bring it to the big banana.
Yeah, the big banana.
Can I just say, there's one angle of this where it's probably become dominated by sponsors.
Yep.
And I think the Melbourne International Coffee Expo, it's lost its community feel.
Yep.
And it's no longer about coffee. It's about who's advertising what. And to sort of contrast this, the first ever Melbourne Chocolate Festival happened recently, and it was held at a small venue that was overflowing with people that were interested. And I thought to myself, this has nowhere near the budget, nowhere near the number of exhibitors, only a small number, in fact, inside of a shed, very, very minimal setup. But the interest was huge. And I think that's where the expo has got away from, mice has gotten away from us. There's not really a community element to it anymore. I would actually favour going to a cheaper location, somewhere that's not quite got all the bells and whistles, but it's community focused. You know, all these other roasters can, afford to exhibit there. And then it can be sponsored by people, and we can probably change the paradigm in which we view sponsors as well. I think it needs to go back to the community feel.
Yeah. And I got a question for you. MICE, the Melbourne International Coffee Expo, who makes coffee? Who produces coffee? Roasters make the coffee. Where are the roasters?
Yeah.
Where is the support for bringing the roasters to try?
If you needed milk, plenty of milk.
Oh, mate, the Alternative Milk Festival is what it should be called. There was so much money spent, but alternative milk companies, if you are wanting to sponsor, there is opportunities coming in here. Don't sponsor mice. This is where you want to talk to the coffee people on the pod.
The years that we went, we did a lot of content. We shot a lot of videos. And I kind of found myself looking around going, where is mice running? Like, who's running the show? Who's out there shooting content? Like, they should have you there running around for them shooting content. There was no real connection to, I think, mice detached from people that would be helping them promote it.
Yeah.
I think we're all pretty clearly doing a connection to the industry and to baristas through our content. So I think mice might need to look at that marketing opportunity, because it's a lot of great tech there, but just connecting with suppliers, bringing in the smaller roasters. I didn't get to drink much coffee, considering it was a coffee expo.
Well,
unless you wanted to sit on the one big major roaster that had all the money enough to do it, and they were the only one.
Yeah, but it's one thing for us to crow on about what's wrong with it, but what are the solutions? Like, I think getting the competitions back is a major part of it. So right now there's not really like an accredited competition that's part of the expo, which has changed from where it was in the past. And I think just allocating space for roasters,
and making it affordable to be there, not the same price as giant companies.
Making it, even if it's like a rotational thing, like, you have one roaster here for a couple of hours each day, pack up, they got another roaster, and fund that so it's free for the roasters. So
they used to have a roaster alley, and they wanted to be in there. But if they could create a model where those, a side or a stand costs a lot of money for a 3x3 kind of fit out. So if they can have a set that works and maybe have 20 of them or 30 of them scattered around, that would be a better entry point for us to better achieve those things.
One last thing on Fine Foods. Do you reckon it's just like showbiz for like pizza oven or deep fryer salesmen? It's it's that age 40 to 55. They got the really tight polo shirts tucked in, belt. guts hanging over a little bit. You know, like I'm developing one. I'm 30.
The belt gut.
The belt gut. And it's just show. It's the Met Gala for, you know, food equipment salespeople.
Absolutely.
And I love seeing them so happy.
Yeah.
They're so happy they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we better get into the podcast now. What was that? A 10-minute introduction on some...
Hey, it's great. That's topics.
We covered Sticky Date Pudding. We covered the Coffee Expo. And now we're going to get into the news. So we always start with the news. So you guys okay with that?
Go for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. News piece number 1. Anthony Koudafides is running for Lord Mayor. So former AFL player, Carlton great, Anthony Koudafides is running for Lord Mayor. What's his policy platform? As far as I'm aware, he wants to give everyone a free cup of coffee on a Monday to bring them back in the city. Discuss.
I'm up for that.
We voting Kouda?
Oh, yeah. Kouda's a classic, mate.
So he's got the vote of Luke.
He's got me.
Jimmy, Kouda, yes or no?
Free coffee's great for promotion, but as long as it's going to support the cafes and they're not going to lose out, sure.
So
if you can bring the people back.
If the government's paying, mate.
Yeah,
it's the coffee bonus, like the TV bonus or the baby
come
bonus.
back to coffee.
All right, I'll take that as a tentative yes. Rowan.
Oh, absolutely. Kouda 100%.
Yeah, I'm all Kouda. Let's go Kouda. I'm Kouda. Go Kouda.
Are we getting Kouda on the pod? He needs to talk about his policy here on the pod.
Well, in fact, if he wants to be the mayor of Coffee Town, I'm sorry, Kouda, you've got to come on the podcast. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. Kouda,
Kirk, I want a direct invitation right now that we can clip to Kouda direct into the camera. Let him hear it.
Kouda, Kirk Pearson here. Big Carlton fan. Love your work. Big body midfielder. No one better. But if you want to be the mayor of Coffee Town, then Kouda, I'm afraid you're going to have to come on the It's Just Coffee podcast, and we will get you so many more votes. We are all for your policy platform, the one policy we know of it. But we would absolutely love to.
Hope the rest stand up.
We would absolutely love to have you back in the city, and we're here to help. Guys, we're here to help.
We're here to help. Our line might be, it's just coffee, but his line would be, it's not just coffee.
It's not just coffee.
It's not just coffee.
Not just coffee.
It's a community.
Coffee creates conversation. You can solve all the world's problems or even the city's problems over a cup of coffee.
I would 110% agree. But anyway, so yeah, Kouda's got my vote. Good, best of luck in your campaign. See you on the podcast soon. Speaking of sport, Little Collins. So that is the name of a cafe in New York. And currently they're being swamped, inundated by Australian tennis players and their coaches over in New York. Obviously, so I think they're an Australian sort of family or whatever group that have gone over and opened a cafe there, had enormous success. There's been a few of those, and we were talking about that earlier, weren't we? But anyway, can you imagine having Nick Kyrgios turn up to your cafe, Samantha Stoza, Ash Barty?
What a time. I ran into Kyrgios at Jim's Greek Tavern, a little famous Australian Greek tavern just down here that serves you so much food and you get the biggest meat sweats ever. But great to meet him then. Love to meet him in the cafe.
Well, I actually have made coffee for him before as well. And you want to know what? Nicest guy ever. Nicest negatively viewed guy ever. Like, a lot of people don't like Nick Kyrgios, and, you know, some of that self-earned. But he's actually a lovely guy.
And also maybe a hot take on saying that, like, a lot of people hate him for his on-court antics and that. I've been saying it forever. A, there needs to be a movie about him. But B, it's just Happy Gilmore, but for tennis. It's just a guy going to a sport that's really snooty and kind of seen as like a bit pretentious and just having fun with it, driving in new people, lifting viewers. I think he's great. And
he goes home and plays Call of Duty and stuff.
He's passionate.
Yeah.
Can't aim for that.
He's all in.
Yeah.
Well, we better get onto the topic now, which is Jimmy and Luke from Artisti Coffee Roasters. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really excited to have you on.
Pleasure to be here. I've been listening. It's been really cool to listen, be a part of it. So,
how are you feeling about it? Have you felt? I was talking to someone last night, and it was kind of agreeing. I said to Kirk when we started, it's like, you know, it'll take 30 eps before you start getting your stride. Have you noticed an increase in quality? Is it getting better?
I was pretty impressed from the start, to be honest.
I
mean, I might listen back and think otherwise, but no, I've been noted from the start. I think it's really relevant. It's really, you know, topical and up to date, and it's hard to find that content. I'm looking for it, so I've been enjoying it.
We'll keep it coming.
I love that.
The question I want to ask you is, well, first question, tell us a little about who you guys are and what Artisti Coffee Roasters is. So start off with you, Luke.
Yeah, for sure. So a cafe guy for many years, did a bit of, fine dining kind of hospitality. Met my wife and ended up in Coffs Harbour, had a cafe. And when we sold that, in that time I had to learn the front of house, really coffee stuff rather than the fine dining. So yeah, working with another specialty roaster, learnt the whole, how to fix my own machines and started working on other people's machines. And then we sold that cafe, which then led us to go and seek having our own coffee brand. And a guy we're communicating with to get a contract roast product, he had a bit of a heart trouble. So, he said, how about you just buy my roaster? So, within 6 weeks after saying I was going to take a long time off, had a roaster, changed and made our own little brand. And 14 years later, here we are.
Quickly pivoted from taking time off. I'm going straight in the deep end.
Yeah. I've, kind of just keep trucking along and always moving forward. So, yeah. And then over the years, just bringing people into the fold, which have other things outside of the business, which has been fantastic. Mates and, other skills, which help us grow the business.
Now, is that just you as a person, do you think? Or is it just the timing? Are you just someone who's like, I've got to take some time off and do this, but then, 2 weeks into your break, you're building a shed out the back or doing something else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really stop.
It doesn't stop. It really does have a lot of things on the go. Like when you think he's busy, he'll spend his whole weekend in his shed doing other things, building other things. Went around Australia last year and still managed to run the business while going around Australia with the family. We've kind of got our finger in the lots of pies of, the wholesale side of things. The coffee machine servicing still huge.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, I want to give a shout out to young baristas or younger people out there that have some sort of ADHD or disorder. It is not a bad thing. I mean, they say the most entrepreneurs out in the world have some sort of, craziness about them, and I've definitely got it. My brain goes 100 miles an hour, and mate, there are opportunities out there for people. So if coffee's going to inspire you or get you to move forward, mate, get out there and give it a crack. Uni's not for everybody, and I wasn't a uni man, so
now. You started your coffee business 15 years ago. If you could change one thing and do it over again, what would it be?
Ooh, gee whiz. For me, it's been a great ride because we've been training people up as we go, and definitely with the vision of taking it a bit easy and being, regional, or that's quite a big challenge for us. If I was chasing money, we would have gone to a city straight away.
Just explain for people that might be listening from abroad where actually you are based.
Yeah, sure. So we're halfway between Sydney and Brisbane, just off the highway. So if you've ever driven through that drive, we're basically 2 minutes off the road at Coffs Harbour. And we're kind of very isolated. People from Sydney don't want to come up, like reps and things, and no one from Brisbane wants to come down. So we've got this little bubble, and it's a unique place. But for us to service customers or grow, Jimmy's traveling a lot of Ks,
Yeah, I can do plenty of Ks and see 2 customers in one day. I can do a whole day of driving and lots of overnight trips just to get to one place. And we're not talking major city volumes either. We're talking, I can go look after a 10 kilo account or a 20 kilo account and still do the Ks.
Yeah.
So there's a big vast area there for us to cover.
And I guess that's it's an interesting point to note for people that might live in a different part of Australia or overseas, because it's we're a country that's our own continent, the only country of the sort. And we're actually, for the density of the population is not that big.
Like the same size as North America pretty much.
Yeah.
And have only 25 or whatever million people.
Yeah. So it's quite a big country and there's a lot of miles to track. And I think it's a really interesting point to make as we bring you guys on, because you're in a somewhat remote part of the country.
Yeah.
And I want to just jumping back on that, talking about, the one thing you'd kind of do differently. I'll kind of broaden that as well, because we probably have a lot of people listening to this that are working in cafes that maybe want to start a roastery, a cafe, that type of business. Is there any other kind of lessons along the way that you could just pass on and cut out a couple of years of trial and error for other people that are maybe wanting to take that journey?
Yeah, I think, people get into cafes when they're studying. So, if they're going to uni and they're learning media or graphics design or anything like that, once you get out and you go and, do the corporate thing, you can bring those skills back to other industries, in things you love. So, these guys, everyone here has a love for coffee, and we've got, videographers, photographers, designers, all these other people coming back into the industry, and they're really, it's a great thing to do and follow your passion. So, if coffee's your start, go and study and then give some love back to the industry.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I would even say that was kind of like our approach when doing this as well, is just kind of also look at the model and just see if there's a different way of doing it, rather than being like, normally it'd be like buy roastery, set up roastery, start trying to sell, start trying to do wholesale. We kind of set it up with this like media content side first and kind of making that the hub that everything else came off, and, seems to have gone pretty well so far.
Yeah, it's awesome. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
If I can add a tangent to that, just imagine all the talent that we don't take advantage of in hospitality. I used to work with someone who was a kitchen hand, so washing dishes at a restaurant I used to work at. And I said, what do you do in your spare time? And he said, I'm studying. Well, what are you studying? I'm doing a PhD in information communication systems or something. I was like, why are you back here washing dishes? Like, you could be doing something so much better in the company. I think we don't take advantage of that enough in coffee.
I'm guilty of that. I mean, I made coffee behind a coffee machine 40 hours a week for 10 years and really didn't look to the other side of it. I think I was lucky enough to, I worked in the cities, worked on the Gold Coast, worked in Sydney, had kids and moved back to my hometown. And then thought, well, I can't just make coffee and I'm going to raise a family now. But then I guess connecting with Luke and realizing there's this whole industry that needs skilled workers, but also with the knowledge of coffee.
Yeah, it's not like you want to be bending over making coffee all day, your whole life. But one thing that I really want to ask you, you've had this really good success, which we'll elaborate later on on the online space, but you're a regional sort of business. So what's more important to you, the regional connection or that online presence?
Well, it depends which part of the business you're really talking to. I think locally for me, so I look after the cafes and the wholesale side of things. So for me, local is that's my people. And that's, I think, my understanding of the local knowledge and the people, and having worked in every cafe in the town, I think that's been an advantage locally for sure. Online, retail, sending coffee around Australia, doing content that connects with people overseas is amazing. It's just something we never got to experience from a local level. So one of the mices we went to, we had guys come up to us from Mexico and tell us that they've been playing our videos in their cafes. As background videos
so cool.
of people learning how to make coffee, and they've connected with us. They actually are looking at doing a shop, and they reached out to us to see if they could use our coffee. They haven't done it yet, so I guess we're still partly in that conversation, but we just wouldn't ever get that from a regional roaster side of things. So it's just opened up our world massively.
I've brought this up on the pod before, but one of the coolest things ever was this team from Brunei came up to me at MICE and were like, we named our coffee shop after you. It's called Coffee Up. I'm like, that's amazing. That's the coolest thing ever, that on the other side of the world, there's a shop with that name on it.
Yeah.
One peculiar thing, I used to work for food service company before I started up my shop. And one thing is getting access to supply in the regions is a little bit different. I actually think it's an advantage in a lot of cases. Is there any sort of complexity that you experience? Do you feel like it does? Is there a negative perception that it doesn't need to be made as well in the regions because you're the regions?
Regional coffee as far as making coffee itself?
Yeah.
I think you'd be surprised by how educated and good at drinking coffee and the industry are. I think, is Melbourne overrated at their coffee knowledge? Are we putting the cities on a pedestal?
I reckon.
Regionally, I think
hot takes us later.
No, there's always when you go out, to a different regional town, there's normally one place that's leaned in and are doing I think the hardcore stuff. But in general, there is a lower standard to it. But there's a weird thing, and this is obviously, there's a weird thing to it where I was sometimes I kind of enjoy it when I'm out there and you get a shitty spectrum. Coffee or whatever. I'm tastes better for some reason.
Yeah.
So I actually had someone, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw someone post a story and it was just instant coffee and some milk. And they said, sometimes I actually enjoy a crappy coffee.
Yeah.
And I was like,
absolutely.
What? Every now and then I do too.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a Nescafe Blend 43.
Yeah. But wait, debate me on that. Are you reckoning with the regional? What do you think that do you think the level is
much
equal
higher
across the board? Much higher?
We are so much higher. But we'll have a smaller volume in these cafes, right? And we are fighting for that cup of coffee. There's some other good roasters in the local area, which is great, and great cafes, but we've all got amazing gear. We're all trying to do great service. and we're pushing the next level. Your bakeries and everything are doing their own thing, but I would say from a cafe perspective, let's say there's 100 cafes out there, 70 of them are as good as, if not better, than a coffee we have when we travel.
Mate, you need to tell me where these places are.
You're talking about language.
I haven't been them to them.
So I used to live in Ballarat, so it's about 2 hours from here. Country town, but there's an excellent coffee shop there called Johnny Alu. They do coffee better than almost any place in Melbourne.
That I will stick to. That I will say that there's often there are ones that are like such high level in doing that.
And then there's a place on the Central Coast where I'm from called Albie's Coffee Bar. If you're listening to this, you need to somehow get to Albie's Coffee Bar. Just do takeaway. But Jason, who runs that, and his wife Sophie, excellent coffee. There's gems some places where they just absolutely smash it.
Yeah, their passion is coming through to the local community, and the community is winning every day.
Yeah, and that's probably an angle of like where the content sort of thing relates to as well, right? Because there's so much online resources now where you can absorb it, consume it, and then go and make an impact in your own shop, wherever you are.
That's really what we had to do for our own town and our own region was to offer them the support and services and the training. That's where the videos came off. We needed to give them the resources because if you're not in the city, you don't just get to go to coffee events. Like we run hosting, we host cupping events. We do our own in-house training sessions. We constant, like my job is out there training cafes, and if they don't have us offering it, they just can't get it. Like you're in the city, you can go to roasters, there'll be events, even just going to mice as an onlooker. If you're in Coffs, to get here for mice, it's it can be 2 flights, accommodation. It's really expensive just for you to go realize there's no coffee to drink at mice. So it's definitely
exactly.
It's hard for that purpose, reason that you just don't have access to everything. So I think we're really actively trying to offer that service. That's why we come to Melbourne and soak it up and find out what Project Zero is doing and just get a feel for what the industry's growing and doing and try to educate people in the regional areas.
So the main message that I'm getting here is that in the regional towns, the coffee is amazing, and then you come to Melbourne and places like Project Zero and you're like, this is just trash. Like Melbourne doesn't know what they're doing. Is that trying to put words in your mouth? Is that what you said?
Is that what we said? Is that what we said?
We were well fueled this morning at Project Zero, mate. Fantastic brews. You did really great.
What did you serve them up? What were you drinking?
I had the strawberry cheesecake.
Oh, yeah.
New blend.
I did the mango lassi one a couple of weeks ago. That was insane.
Well, the boys got a sample of that. What else do we have?
What was the black we had today?
Well, there was
strong black.
Yeah, strong black. Can we do a moment
on
the
gentleman's?
The strong black.
He wants his moment.
Well, the strong black is also known as the gentleman's drink.
Yeah.
So it's and it can be a gentlewoman's drink as well. We don't exclude anyone, but basically it's just like a long black, but you use filtered water instead of coffee from the coffee machine, and then we mineralized it using the Apex labs, so adding minerals to the water. Long story short, it's really good quality water, long black. And how much, like the difference is just awesome. I think long blacks used to be, for me, something I'd never put like a geisha espresso over. Now I'm thinking next time I get some geisha village, I'm strong blacking it.
Strong black.
What temperature are you setting that kettle to?
Very good question. 80 degrees.
80.
So a little bit less. So you can almost drink it straight away.
We got out to 75 actually.
Yeah. So like what you were saying is just what we do and all of our cafe partners do.
No,
we do not use
we encourage them to. Whether they can apply that, it's always that's what we're pushing for because the experience is that much better.
So you guys are doing this day in, day out.
Are you mineralizing?
Yep.
Are you mineralizing the
water? We're not mineralizing. No, that we're moving on to.
We've got beautiful regional water.
We had a really good podcast all about mineralizing.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Your water, and we're on it.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
Strong black. Artisti Coffee Roasters. I'm looking forward to it.
I gotta look at this here. We got a little clipboard going up here, which is regional versus city. Who's winning the battles at the moment? It's a 1-1 draw.
Yeah. Well, we're going to do a little regional city battle on for Golden Brown after this as well. So stay tuned to the channel to see that one going up. Now, you guys started creating coffee content in 2019, and then pretty much it's like bang, the pandemic happened. Obviously, the pandemic, a horrible thing, but maybe a little bit of good came out of it. How has that, affected your reach and output?
Yeah, look, we definitely were ready for the pandemic. You know, every business or when you see there are massive growth, they're always it's about timing. And so, you know, from an owner of a business, I didn't want to be on content at all, but definitely the team said we should do it. So we were ready. And when the closures happened, we just had to make that content that was relevant to help new cafes open. So that's really why we started. And we just were sharing everything that we were, you know, what we do in-house, we would share out there. Yeah.
We opened cafes during COVID completely remotely in Sydney. Like we actually were in lockdown and we couldn't get to them. So we had kind of all the infrastructure in-house to do good Zoom video calls and training over Zoom. We would send equipment and work with local techs and do all that. So I think it was great for everyone to learn how to communicate from a distance because we kind of wanted that anyway. Like we were already living that world when customers would look at us and be like, how much is your coffee? Come to my cafe and give me a price. And I'm like, well, I'm actually 6 hours away from you. So is this a serious conversation? to then educating people on how to just hold good conversation on the phone over Zoom, and then take them through the process by sharing videos along the way. Because it's not just the coffee making. We do a lot of work on layout, fit out, design, a lot of things you don't physically have to be there for. So a lot of our content's like how to lay out a coffee machine bench and how to do business support and, you know,
marketing and branding.
More to it than, marketing and branding, you know, thinking about, you know, what your coffee menu is and what the drinks are. So there's more to it than just making coffee.
So if you want to have a coffee business, one of the best places you can go to is the Artisti Coffee YouTube page.
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There is so much content on there to help you do everything from a coffee trailer to a, you know, cafe layout, design, build menus, you know.
Yeah. So Luke's more tech minded, so he does a lot more reviews, works with Lamazaka and done reviews on all the different coffee machines. I tend to be more like workflow and cafes side of things. So I'm kind of just from my time on coffee machines, I'm more comfortable in that space behind a bar, and we shoot lots of live videos. So we're pretty comfortable, you know, putting ourselves out there. And that's probably been a big point of difference from us. I don't think every barista loves being put on show and you know, everyone's seeing their flaws. I drop milk jugs in my videos and make a fool of myself. So it's the honesty's been the thing that people enjoy.
I'm curious to know. So let's put you mentioned timing just there, right? So timing, you planned to do this, then the timing just worked out for you. So that was very good. So what was business like for you in 2019 in a couple of instances? And what's it like for you now in 2024?
Well, we definitely grew rapidly from a team of about 7. Now we're up to about 15. It's busy. You know, content production is a big thing and a big issue. The commitment there to do one video a week was definitely it was pressure. There was no doubt about it. And, you know, Ryan, who's been helping us with that all the time, he was saying you just can't not do one a week. And there were some weeks we were just like, no, we can't, man. We got to roast coffee. We got to serve customers in the front bar. We got to go out and install. Because I was doing all the tech work and installs for all of the business as well.
So I started in October 2019. So it was pretty crap before then, to be fair. No,
yes.
So I started having that.
Employee of the month.
That's it. Oh, hey,
6 years running.
I was sales. I was in the bar.
And I think that's probably the big point. It's like, what advice to people? You do need to do a lot of things, and he still does a lot of things. Like, I've been working the bar in the morning. Luke's been working the bar. Like, that's not our job. Like, we need to be out there, you know, shooting content, yes, but looking after customers and stuff. You still get pulled left, right, and centre. So I think it's having a diversity of what you know about, at least have an understanding of it throughout the business, every area, and Luke just oversees it, whether he has to now do all of the things, not so much. But we were definitely like you were, you know, I don't even think there was 7 in the team. I think I was the 5th.
Yeah, okay.
And now we're 15.
So it expanded quite rapidly during the COVID period.
Relative to coffee sales, relative to cafes, we do have accounts in like cafes in cities now, all around Australia. Like I'm about to fly to Mackay and install into Airlie Beach. So we are like reaching a lot further now. And that's just come with exposure, come with, you know, the coffee's really good too. It's not just selling people on the marketing. Coffee tastes good. Yeah. And that's, at the end of the day, the big thing as well.
The one thing we don't have to worry about, our coffee is actually fantastic. And I know Jimmy always says that. It's more about the extra services we provide. Coffee's never been an issue.
Absolutely.
Now it's a scalability thing. That's where the content comes in. How can we get the word out there and teach people to make coffee? Because by the time I walk in the door, they've already watched a lot of content and they love me. And I'm like, nice to meet you. And they're just like, I've seen everything and I learned so much from you and I don't have to start from scratch. Yeah. So it's very helpful.
Now, speaking of the content and making that, you've been making amazing coffee content. You're traveling around. Have you met anyone interesting along the way? Is there any names that you want to drop here that are going to impress us?
I'm curious to know this.
There's a guy called Rowan. He's pretty good on social media.
No, that guy's a douchebag.
He's a wanker.
I hate that guy. And he says that stupid voice.
Yeah.
That
what he
dumb
says-
head.
Yeah, the dumb head. He's ugly as sin. I just want to slap him.
Coffee up.
But anyone other than him?
Well, Kirk, you're a handsome fellow.
Or me.
I think someone like a name that everyone know, like such a sister, would walk past us and be like, like at Mice last year, then we just walked past and he's like, I know you. Like, love your work. I got to run, but like, good work.
Yeah.
They're the rock star moments for me where I walk into a cafe and to even be recognized from a barista is really humbling.
Lance
other
and
roasters.
Morgan the other year.
Oh, yeah. So the year that Morgan came second at Mice, we met her and I interviewed...
Morgan drinks coffee.
Drinks coffee,
yeah. I interviewed Lance that year too, just at Mice, just sit there and did a little video and we'd been DMing each other and just kind of trying to find each other at Mice and that came together. I fumbled my way through that interview.
Jimmy was starstruck.
Luke's filming and I'm like just nervously
Beatbox for me, Lance. Beatbox.
Yeah. He's got a great voice.
For those who don't know, he likes to beatbox a lot on his channel. Just in the middle of videos, there'll be a 5-minute beatbox break.
Yeah, he does. He loves a good sing-off. So I think, it's people like that. But
I think it's actually just on the regional. Everyone that does come in and sees us, they don't realise they can actually see us and connect with us. Like I will answer the phone. If you want to buy a Lamazocco Mini, I will be the guy on the other side of the other phone. I
might call up and buy a Lamazocco Mini just to treat myself and not just to the Mini, but conversation with Luke.
Just to relive the pod again.
Yeah.
I'm having such a great moment. I don't want it to end. I'll just have to start calling you guys, asking for sales
My number's
inquiries.
55502.
on that note, we sort of had a bit of a chat a few weeks ago before this podcast. And we kind of discussed a little bit of the ins and outs of your business. And you said you had something like a 400% increase in like retail sales since the pandemic.
Sure.
So you're supplying a lot more to people directly at home.
Yeah.
What's that been like? And supplementary to that, where do you see the future for making coffee at home based on your sort of business experience?
Listening to your podcast and you're talking about the home market, you're a little bit shy on that the other week. You're sort of negative towards the home market. We see the home market is actually the growth still. It's definitely a huge market for us. We sell a lot of equipment and gear, into that home space and encouraging people to make great coffee at home. The disconnect that everyone has is they don't realize that people have a coffee at home, they have a coffee at a cafe, and there's 2 coffees a day. So everyone's afraid to get into this home market, but I think the better we can do in the home market, they'll still come out and have a better culture and a better experience and maybe meeting people again. Going out for a coffee used to be a big thing. 15 years ago, people would come to my cafe and say, hey, I'm just waiting for my friend to turn up. And that feels like it's gone a bit more because it's a rushed kind of coffee.
Now, I'm going to just backtrack there for a second. What was I saying about the home market being negative on it? My whole business is based off the home market.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I think that's the whole thing.
I think
you were saying it in yours. You're sort of negative a bit towards the home, and you said the cafe market. I mean, you've got a cafe, so you need people to come out.
Still, I think the home market is probably the future for the whole industry, to be honest. A lot more people, and we were having this discussion on the way here, is that a lot more people, for whatever reason, are just becoming interested in the coffee industry. And it could be, we look at people like Adam Zampa, the cricketer. He just randomly loves coffee. Marnus Labuschagne, another cricketer, also likes coffee. Zach Cook, like all sorts of interesting people are getting into coffee for all sorts of interesting reasons.
Yeah, we had Luke Bruce in here the other day, the AFL player, and he's got his Breville machine at home and he's doing that, asking for tips and that kind of thing. I saw stats today, I was looking it up, that by 2029, globally is projected there will be 100 million home espresso machines out there. And in Australia, it'll be 1.1 million home espresso machines across Australia. So with only 27 million people, that's a lot of home espresso machines.
Yeah.
Couple.
I just want to add one point to that. I need people to learn how to make coffee so I can get baristas in my cafes. I need people to love coffee and learn a little bit and go, hey, I love this. This is a passion of mine. If you start playing sport or golf or something, you're not just going to go get a job in that industry straight away. You might be a hobbyist, and it's those hobbyists that turn into baristas, then they turn into cafe owners, and they're going to drive the industry. So if we're not supporting the home market, we're going to run out of baristas, and we need people in there.
Yeah, the gap between the quality of coffee that people can actually make at home by having a high-end machine versus what they can get in a cafe is getting very close. And I think when you go to a cafe, you're happy to pay a higher price for a quality coffee like you guys do. And there's a reason why. We'll go out and search for that next level. And that's where that price rise really should come up in the coffee. Yep.
I would agree.
Now, we talked about this a little bit before. Running a cafe regionally, we'll bring up the board again of the regional versus city. Running a cafe regionally, what are some of the challenges that you're facing there that people might not be aware of?
From a business perspective, the cost is much higher. Getting freight to us and freight out. That's a huge cost from us, bottom line. There's no doubt about it. And the other one's staffing. There's not we don't have a big uni town, so there's not that kind of culture around where we can just draw on people that are coming to study or have other skills. So definitely staffing. And then, there's a lot of seasonal people that do come through, but they're not quite right for us. They might help some of the cafes. We've got a big blueberry industry in Coffs Harbour. That's what we're known for. It's not bananas anymore, just to clarify that one. But people, skilled people coming in with a passion for coffee is what we're lacking.
New idea for you. Build a little hut, a little living quarters at your place, and call it the Rockstar Shift, where people can apply to come and do a 6-month stint at your cafe, live there, get free board in that place, and then work in the cafe, and then just 6-month rotation. It's people applying for it. There's going to be a whole list. Make it a whole event.
Can it be a yurt?
Yes, it can be a yurt. No, just come and build it. Just come and hammer some pieces of wood together.
Let us know if you want to live in a yurt on Luke's property.
But it also
I have kangaroos in my place.
As much free coffee as you can drink.
So those are some of the issues that you face.
Yeah.
How do you help your customers combat them? So as a coffee roaster, and you seem quite invested in helping people not just make good coffee, but succeed in their business.
So we buy people equipment all the time. We are still buying the same equipment that the cities are. We're all on 3-group PBs, 2 groups. Maybe we're not on 3 groups because the volume might be 2-group worthy, but we're still on specialty coffee gear. We're still spending just as much money on grinders, on equipment, time and services and support to raise them as high as we can possibly get them to. So I think, offering what other people do out of the cities, they don't we might not do the volume that the cities do, but we try to make the coffee as good as we want it to be. We still support them with that equipment. Mm-hmm. That's a big part.
Now, you guys are popping off on socials. Some of the numbers you're getting, especially over in the YouTube, wild. What is your biggest video and what is it about?
Well, it's always been a fun competition. I think with both of us shooting content, there's been, we're a team. But hey, if my video has the most views, if you looked at the top 5 or top 10 videos, you might find that there's a bit of a theme happening. But a lot of them are just how to make like I said, we got business support, we got reviews and stuff, but it's the coffee menu. So one of the videos that the video that's got the highest views as far as I remember, I was sitting in the office. Ryan comes in and he goes, "You ready to shoot?" And I'm like, totally forgot we were shooting. Great. What are we doing? He's like, you tell me. And I'm like, all right. All I keep doing is just going to coffee training and taking people through how to make a short black, how to make a flat white, latte, cap, long black, and just how to make them all. So I got up, we went to our espresso bar. Our bar runs and we just try to shoot between customers, so we often have to stop in the middle of the shoot and just cut it. I just did a one take and just went, here's a short black, here's a long black, here's a flat white, and that was it. I went back to my desk. And that still stands, that 12-minute video still stands to be one of the highest.
Yeah, 1.7 million.
Yeah. And it's shot on an iPhone, just following me around.
You're literally Brick from Anchorman. They're like, "Are you ready to film?" You just looked around the room and it's like menu. And he's like, do you really want to film the menu, or are you just looking at things and saying what you see?
It's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so Jimmy is the hipster barista. He's got the tats. He's the good-looking fella, and I'm the old guy.
He's the old guy.
Wealth of knowledge. But, as a leader, you got to lift people up and inspire them. I'm really impressed that I could have that skill to, inspire Jimmy to lift up.
Yeah, to make a video that got many views. I am in awe of you. You're incredible. You're all right.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Jimmy was the guy in the cafes around the scene. Everyone kind of knew, he's that hunky kind of guy pouring out lattes, and, we snagged him.
I'd also describe you as hunky.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, I joined I'm going to change something.
What colour are your eyes? It's quite stunning. They're blue.
How's that light?
Oh, my goodness. They're really sparkling over here.
I joined Artisti and they were just starting to make videos. Yeah. Brian behind the camera has always been like, this is the next thing as far as just educating people. That's always the biggest thing is education. We're not looking for the biggest views. We have found that the videos that just help people get the views.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. I love those ones. Even if there's one that you do that doesn't have as many views, but the comments will just be like 10 people like, oh my God, that saved me. You're like, yeah, great.
I always think the ROI on that kind of thing is my time, because I now don't have to do that every time I do training. Like I'll send links, people will watch videos and it saves us a lot of time retelling, what's a recipe,
There's definitely two sides to our content. Like Jimmy's is cafe focused, so it is hopefully getting the phone to ring for people to come on board and use our coffee in their cafes. Doing reviews and things. The online business is definitely growing from that, and we sell a lot of machines, but it might only have 10,000 views. But that is so niche, and those 10,000 people are ready to buy. So that's where there's a different value that people put on things.
Fertile advertising ground, perhaps.
Yeah. And I think everyone's chasing that huge video, or that huge views, but what actual impact does it have? Is it just a video for the sake of making a laugh for 2 seconds and then just dissipating? Or is it actually a brand building or a positive growth to the actual industry? And I think that's where our widespread content really helps us out. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, we've found that as well. There's we'll have that balance of how much needs to be fun. And there is stuff that's just fun because it's that's a part of our business of just being silly. But it's the growth is always from the education, the helping, and that kind of part of the market. But I will ask, for people starting, so you kind of started off, would you say you were against the content at the start or just didn't have time? And if building on that, for people starting a cafe and doing that, do you think it is 100% you have to do it to help your business?
Yeah, I think originally I didn't really see myself being in front of a camera at all. I'm a pretty easy talker. That's no real issue for me. Get me going and I'm okay. But I didn't think I could perform in front of a camera. And that's actually what Jimmy and I realised. We don't perform. Nothing's really scripted. We're just who we are. And that's the best way for us to present. That's why it's very natural. From a cafe perspective, you're the only one that can tell your story to your customer. So you got to be the hero. You got to pioneer it. No one else is going to do it for you. So if you're not creating some sort of insight to who you are as a cafe, who the team are, where the food really comes from, maybe where the suppliers are coming from, the message is going to get out there. So you have to do something, and the cost to enter this market is so cheap. As we say, an iPhone and a little bit of time. We did a bit of a plan for some of our cafe partners. And what we talk about is the owner of the business probably isn't the right person to be doing it. They can actually give that phone to their 18-year-old barista or whoever it might be. They'll do all the videos and they can even edit really quickly on the phone. And then maybe the owner has to proof it, but then they can just put it up. So taking the onus away from perhaps the owner and giving a bit of, creativity, control to the people that are in the business, it'll be a much better, well-rounded picture of who you actually are as a team.
Utilizing the strengths of Gen Z.
Gen Z, mate.
They can do the CapCut and all that sort of stuff.
It probably gives them some ownership over the cafe as well, and the tone of voice and who you are and that kind of thing. So it really grows the business from just what you see it as in your mind to, a bigger kind of community picture.
Yeah, you got to look at TikTok's very different to Facebook. Facebook's different to YouTube or Instagram, and the shorts and the reels, they all speak to a different audience.
Yeah.
So if you've got a whole range of people in your business, you can speak to different levels by allowing people to create different content.
I'm thinking of going solely back to MySpace. Thoughts?
Bring it back, the custom backgrounds.
Yeah.
Top 8.
Top 9,
Top
whatever
8.
it is.
Top 8 was.
Oh my God, do you remember that?
The autoplay music.
Oh my God. But the amount of like the controversy in your friend group when you'd like look at your friend and they've removed you from the top 9 and so then you remove them and then you're getting a message going, why did you remove me from the top 9? I'm like, you removed me from the top 9. It
was kind of like a more peaceful time on social media. You might see the old trash, fight online about arguing about who said something about who. But there wasn't like, I don't know, election kind of fraud and all the bots and stuff that there are nowadays. But
yeah, but I also, the stuff I look back at, like, guys, go onto your Facebook if you still have it active and just look at your wall from like years ago. The stuff we were just posting publicly, like you'd comment on a friend's page and be like, meet you at this location at this time. And for like, anyone can see that, know where you are, know where you're going, what's happening. It was crazy.
It's changed.
We'll say my recent Facebook memory from 10 years ago was me filming myself doing latte art.
Oh, there we go.
And I thought I was already kind of just doing it naturally. I was in cafes making coffee, pouring rosettas and slow motion, watching that milk really sexy milk. And so I was, didn't realize at the time, I guess, that I was doing that for the cafe. And it was a busy cafe. It was really a great cultural hub locally for us. And I guess I was already doing that for them. And then, see the value. I could see the value doing it in-house for Artisti as well.
Bit of synergy there. 10 years on. 10 years great. Rowan, I'm bumping down a few questions here. We've answered a few of our own, but how do you sort of use social media to better sort of improve your business and not just like you launch strong, so you've done the big social presence, then you launch really strong, but stay sustainable throughout? And what are your tips that you can give to some other people that are thinking of doing the same thing?
Well, like you mentioned before, all the different platforms. So we love YouTube because it's such a long-standing piece of content. It doesn't disappear the next day. It doesn't leave. Like those videos are still getting the views and they're just living on. Like people coming to us and they're like, oh, watch your videos and that one. And they mentioned a video that we made 5 years ago now or 4 years ago. So the long standing videos are actually the most valuable for us. It takes you 10 minutes to shoot it and you get years of value out of it. So that's why I think we've really gravitated to YouTube, and the long form, you can kind of explain a lot more. Yeah, but that's been probably really valuable for us to choose that platform and then break out into other ones.
From an online business model, the linking between YouTube and Google is definitely good from a sales perspective. I'm going to leave it there because I don't want anyone else to get too much on that.
I was just about to ask.
Don't get any algorithm.
Google owns YouTube. So that connection there and how you're going to do your online space and have some growth, there's definitely a lot of work in there. And we've just employed an internal web guy to fix up a lot of those things. We had an external website. We're seeing some a real good synergy between a video that can then, talk about a product, but then actually do the Google ads and momentum there.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. You might. Do you have anything to add to that? You know about all that?
I just think there's different stuff, whether it's on Facebook or Google, where you can start tracking like what people are viewing, where they are. So if it's you view something, then all of a sudden you're getting an ad for that thing that's like, oh yeah, I remember viewing that, or knowing what people's search terms are to kind of link them back to your sales platform.
Data tracking is scary.
Yeah.
There is so much data out there and everyone knows where you've come, how many times they've clicked on your business. And if you can understand it 7 times, they've got to click on your business before they actually buy from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't even know. People think like on Instagram that it's like if you like or comment on something, then maybe it's going to start advertising that to you. No. It will track when you scroll past, if you linger on a still image, even if you don't like it, if you just look at it for like 10 seconds, it knows that you spent a lot of time on that image. It'll track whether you zoomed in on it, what you did, and then it will use that information to start retargeting stuff from that. So it's like everything is kind of covered off.
Ron, what's the wildest thing you've got in your feed? Because like someone, like I got kids and they get in your phone and they might look at the weirdest image and it stays there. You got any of those weird things that kind of pop up in your feed?
Oh, mate, it's so funny when you see like when we have a lot of staff here that are logging into this TikTok accounts, and you can kind of tell who's been logged in on different days because all of a sudden the feed changes. Like every time I log in and my feed is just that sailing content on TikTok of the people on the giant boats with that yo ho. Oh. It's just, I'm like, Sodom, get off my TikTok. Like it's just sailing content for days. I'm like, enough. And then this dude, Liam, you watch the weird, come over here. Can you take off the headphones and come over here?
He's coming in.
This dude has the weirdest sense of humor. Do you have any like weird?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought he was going to trip himself.
Do you have any? What's something weird you've been watching that kind of populates your feed now?
Well, something weird. I love that you just like throw me under the bus for this, but I would say I've destroyed KP's Netflix because she's got all of her reality TV shows, and then there's me. I'll come through and she knows because it's filled to the brim with anime.
Oh, you're an anime boy. He was the expert.
My YouTube feed pretty much consists of two things only at the moment. It's like NFL, like the season's about to start for NFL. I love NFL, so it's like breakdowns of that, and then also Breaking Bad clips. I searched it the other day. I was like, oh, look at this scene, and now it's just the best. I feel like I'm rewatching the Breaking Bad series all over again. But I'm gonna just throw a little off script topic out, if I may.
What's your favorite anime?
Yeah, what's Dragon Ball Z, of course. But we were having an interesting discussion in the car on the way here about how we kind of think the coffee industry is changing and it will continue to do so. So I kind of hypothesize that I think the coffee industry is going to change enormously because of the concentration of wealth. And it's not really from the consumer, it's more so from the businesses. And what do I mean by that? Businesses that have multiple cafes have a competitive advantage because they can negotiate better leases for one. They can get all of their goods cheaper because they're buying in volume. And they can probably have access to funds where they can pretty much guarantee a staff member's wage, whereas a smaller cafe might not be able to. And it's an interesting conversation that I really wanted to have with you guys as well, getting the regional aspect and having Rowan here as well. How do you think it's going to change? Because from when I started to now, it's almost unrecognizable, the industry. And I think the acceleration will it'll just explode in the next 5 years, the amount of innovation in coffee. Where do you guys all see it changing?
Innovation in coffee, yes, but volume of cafes, no. I don't. I think we're going to get less cafes doing better. I think at some point we have to do that. We have to evolve and probably weed out some of the ones that have been around. It's amazing some of the cafes that you do find along the coast that you're like, how are these guys surviving? Like they can't be doing the volume. They just must have that. I mean, it might be the cheaper rent and those kind of things in different areas that are keeping them alive.
Front.
Sorry?
Or it could be a drug front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Great business.
Two options.
So I think you've got to, look at the concentration of how many cafes there are and how well they're going to hold up and how well they can run a business. That's answering your question before about doing content. Is it worth it? Like you have to do some marketing. You can't just be one of these cafes and no one wants to spend money on billboards and ads anymore. Shoot some video, shoot some content, tell us your story and do that on a free platform and spend a little bit of time, invest your own time into it. And that might set you apart and that's going to get you more customers. And that's maybe what's going to, keep your customers coming back to you. And so we might see people that can't keep up with marketing in a social media world. They can't rely on foot traffic because they're all working from home.
Yeah. No, and Luke, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think one of those things about that huge upfront cost in actually starting a cafe, it's a rent or the actual building and what you got to fit it out with. That used to be a conversation where we used to say, oh yeah, you can do something in a small footprint for maybe 60 to maybe $100,000 or something like that. But now you see these people that have a very small shop and they're spending, $250,000, $300,000 just on the shop fit. And they think that that's actually going to get them all the coffee customers. And the reality is you've got to have some money there to market and do some other things because the shop front only gets you so far and the quality of the coffee gets so far. But if you can't communicate that, that's a real problem. We encourage everyone to start their journey if they're building right at the very start. Start telling a story. Start making a connection with people before, show them the build, show them everything that's going on. And everyone sort of forgets about that because that's really who you are as an authentic kind of journey that you're on. You're sharing that with people. And
there was a girl starting like a little cafe or juice shop or something in like New York, and just people seeing a young person who's giving it a go, just this tiny little shop front, just a video of her being like, I'm going to retile my cafe today. Here's the first tiles. Here's the new ones, like 150,000, views. And now people are like waiting for it to open so they can come down because they feel like they've been a part of that, journey of building it. And I think this podcast can kind of be like a cool part of that. I don't know if it's in the coffee breaks, but even like, I love talking about Kirk's journey of doing Project Zero and the kind of evolution of it there. I think all those kind of stories, people are interested.
Yeah, I'm pretty hands-on. We've done all of our shop fits and everything ourselves over the years, and have built a lot of counters for people in their shops and saved them like lots of money. But, whether that's still accessible or doable anymore, maybe we're losing the skills. But, there's big money there to spend to get things done.
I want to redirect the question to you, Rowan.
Oh.
Where do you think it's going to change over the next 5 years, the industry as a whole? Where do you think it will change? Do you agree, disagree? Do you think that if it is going to change, what changes do you think we'll see?
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from McDonald's, Popeyes, Pizza Hut, Wendy's, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a hamburger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
I think it's crazy. I think we're looking at like a big part as well of like the coffee that we're getting. The prices are going to be crazier. I think a lot of it's going to be going to like other countries like China and that within, the Australian market and that. So I think for me, it's going to be this balance of, I feel like there's going to be a split of like the specialty and the accessibility kind of side of coffee. I feel like there's that kind of automated, quick, get your cup of coffee and get on the go. And then there's that specialty. There might be a bit more of a split. I feel like we kind of evolved down this specialty path. And then I think there might be a bit of a
it'd be good if there was a split.
Yeah.
Because it's too blurry. Customers are walking in, they're going, oh, you've got a coffee machine and you sell coffee, it's $4. And they walk into your shop and they go, you've got a coffee machine, it's, maybe your coffee's $4.50 and they're not sure why and they're not really comparing all the right things. So I think if we can make it very clear that there is better coffee shops than other ones. We're not all on the same playing field for sure.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. That we discussed this with Jamie Thompson. He's like, no, not every cup of coffee should really be priced the same.
Yeah.
So
in Italy, it's kind of interesting. The terminology over there is just, I think it's just the specialty. Like, so there's the Robusta dark Italian, and then it's like anything else is that, oh, that's the specialty kind of coffee. And they definitely have it completely split because, it's over there, you have to spend your €1 to get your coffee or whatever it is, and they need to have that. So there is that split of like the accessible, anyone get coffee, and then that next step up.
You're getting into some conversations that I think we need to move to the next segments.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean,
because we got some bangers for you.
All right. Well, I mean,
we're talking around some issues here and topics, and I know what Jimmy's got up your sleeve, and I got some stuff there. So I think,
I mean, it is starting to get hot in here, but it's not getting that hot. It's getting more like, it's like there's a speed, there's a pace.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. Things are action-packed around here. We're fast, we're dynamic. I think it's time for the second greatest segment in all of coffee podcastery. It's time for rapid fire questions.
Hey, it's just questions.
All right, before you press the timer, we've got two people here. So, I mean, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna ask the questions. You're both going to answer at the same time, and then if you for whatever reason you both can't answer one, I'm just gonna move through. So
wait, are they going to talk? Should it be like a shotgun, like bang bang, so we can clearly hear the two answers?
Yeah,
you reckon? All right. Well, who's more quick-witted? Okay. All right, so Luke, you're going to go first, then Jimmy.
I got this.
All right, are you ready? So 1 minute, 20 questions, all right? Let's do it.
I'm sweaty.
Time starts now.
Coffee order.
Long black.
Strong latte.
Washed or natural?
Washed.
Natural.
Co-fermented, yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Geisha or Couture?
Geisha.
Geisha.
Colombia or Panama?
Colombia.
Panama.
Filter or espresso?
Espresso.
Espresso.
7-Eleven or Coles?
Coles.
Neither.
Instant or McDonald's?
Instant.
McDonald's.
Beer or wine?
Neither.
Beer.
Martini or Negroni?
Negroni.
Favorite Bee Gees album?
Don't know.
Best coffee podcast ever?
This one.
Good
It's
answer.
just coffee.
Most underrated coffee venue in Australia?
Underrated.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Coffee venue?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Artisti Coffee Roasters.
Okay.
Espresso. Michael Harbour.
Rowan or Kirk?
Kirk.
Okay. All right.
I'll just
on
go.
the side of the
I
table,
love
so
that.
he
I'll go Rowan because he said Kirk.
Kirk can't race me from here.
Well, Interesting. Well, you missed a few questions.
right.
There's only one more I really wanted to ask you. Xiaolongbao or ravioli?
I'm a ravioli man. I love a little bit of meat inside a juicy bit of pasta.
Yeah. All right, great.
I'm so shocked with the word. That question needs to be like one that stays on here because just like, and maybe not specifically like xiaolongbao and like that, but just any form of dumpling versus any form of
off
like
the back of
wrapped
this,
pasta. I'm like dumpling every day of the week.
Rowan committed one of the worst sins imaginable. He went to Italy, he came back and he goes, I think I like Asian food more. I think Italian food's overrated. And I thought, just hang on a minute there, buddy.
That's not exactly what I was saying. I was saying that the quality of the food in the places where we were was nowhere near as high as it should have been, especially at the cost. And I will also say that's probably because we're in a highly populated touristy spots, so it's harder to find. But also we're just so spoiled in Melbourne here. Like you're not going to find the best pizza or pasta or whatever you have here is going to be equal to whatever you have over there. Or, same thing in Japan or New York. Like everywhere has something incredible.
So you hate Italians?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
Okay. We had
okay. No, I do not. Don't clip this part. Of course, I love
He hates
Italians.
Italians.
I love Italy.
Love Italians.
But it is you look a bit nervous over there.
I'm feeling a bit nervous and I'm a little flustered.
Just while you're talking Italian coffee, our highest Instagram reel was like 18 point something million. And I just want to acknowledge the gentlemen and the guys that were baristering behind this bar because, they don't realize how massive they are and making some coffee. But 18.7 million just watching a couple of Italian guys, baristas smashing out coffee.
This was you over in Italy?
No, we videoed them.
Yeah,
and it's our biggest viral reel.
While they were in Milan.
And I just want to shout out and say, mate, you're a champion. And we'll come and see you next time we're in.
We did an Italian versus Australian barista clip, and it went nuts.
Yeah, but like let's dive into that a little bit more here. Why did it have so many clips, so many views, and what were the comments and what were they saying about these Italian baristas? Can we get into that?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, it's a very different kind of service, right? It's the bar, it's the espresso, it's the milk. The frother was just covered in milk. It was never cleaned. He was cool at cleaning cups. He was loading in portafilter handles. He was leaving it there for a long time before he puts the actual shot on or presses the button. The one jug of frothy milk going out to multiple cups. Everything was very polarizing to what we teach.
He forgot? He forgot his flare funnel, his WDT, his NCD.
He forgot to put orange grounds and orange rinds in the portafilter or something like that.
Doritos in there.
So not enough tats.
So we're now coming back to the fact that it was such a viral clip because everyone's like, that looks atrocious.
It was,
and some of the worst coffee that you could
Well, it
possibly
seemed
make.
rushed. And
It was fast.
It was real fast.
Mate, if he could come over here and pump out our kind of coffees that fast, mate, he'd be worth $1 million.
Yep.
Don't get noob milk. Just get one of that guy, Giacomo, whatever his name is.
Well, mate, that's
when you can fill a jug and just heat a whole thing and then just go bang, 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 bang.
We'll give it a go.
That's how you do it.
Hot milk?
what takes.
Dairy was very different.
Well, it was regional versus Italy versus Italy.
Italy's now won.
All right. Well, it's getting really hot in here. It's getting really hot. And it's time for the greatest segment in all of coffee podcastery. Rowan?
It's time for Hot Takes with Two Sugars.
I said it the other day on the pod. I'm always so bummed out because you came up with the best thing on the whole pod.
It just hates you. It just eats at you.
Yeah. I mean, no, like I am happy for you, but
I am going to start off because what I'm talking about is going to be very relevant for this, what we were just chatting about. My hot take, the moka pot, the stovetop, is an absolute pile of crap. And the only reason people like it is for nostalgia. No matter how much work you put into brewing with that thing, the coffee that you produce is never going to be as good as brewed with any other method. Either have an espresso or have a pour over coffee. Stop making moka pot.
I just got breaking news in. Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, has declared war on Rowan. She's declared war on Rowan. Just, why do you hate Italian so much? You're coming for everything. You're coming for the pasta. You're coming for the moka pot. What do you want next?
I just think that it's the only reason you will like it is just from nostalgia and like where it's been placed in. If you're going to put it up against any modern method, if you'd never had coffee before and you got served that versus other methods, it would be your least favorite.
Yeah, agreed. I've never had a good one.
Yeah, ever. I've never had a good one. Yeah. Even when you follow
Nor do I.
James Hoffman, like dissected it, turned it into a robot, put probes in it, did everything. And even following all that methodology, did it taste better than just brewed how a nonna would brew it? Sure, but it still tasted like crap.
It's such a huge market. Like we did do a video off the back of that, how to make the best one.
Yeah.
And we didn't have it on our website and we didn't realize how many people were actually buying coffee to put it in there.
Yeah.
So it's a very household staple still. And yeah, we sell a lot of extra seals and filters and bits for them. So it's out there. I mean,
Everyone's got one in the back of their cupboard. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been an AeroPress fanatic for years now. You know, everyone's getting on the bandwagon, but we've been selling them for a long time and that's been our staple.
Yeah.
And camping, that's definitely what we use, and caravanning. But there's still a lot of people taking the moka pot, you know.
Yeah,
camping.
I think, and again, it's that side of like, do whatever makes you happy. And if you like the taste of like that thing, you know, we were talking about drinking a crappy instant coffee. And with a moka pot, there definitely is a vibe in a place. Like if I'm at, you know, a dinner of friends and someone pulls out the moka pot at the end of the dinner, great.
But the moka pot is, I would say, for a category of human being that's just like, just get in my fucking veins. You know, that's the type of coffee drinker that goes into a moka pot. You know, you're assaulting Italians. Yes, you are. But I mean, I'm going to have to give you one there.
I think we can all just agree that there are better ways to brew the coffee. Like technically, like scientifically, there is better ways to brew that
Well,
coffee.
there are practical ways to do it at home as well.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't.
Very cost effective.
Yeah. Like, why would you? At that point, I'm just like, well, functionally, I'll just go buy a jar of instant.
Yeah.
And if you're at the campsite, you can just get your instant, pour a bit of hot water on, however you choose to do it. But
I will say though, shout out, you said your biggest thing was the Italian barista going. Italians, I love you. The crema de cafe, always a hit. Every single video where you do that is countless millions. So Italians, you nailed it with that one.
well, I'm going to leap to the defense of the Italians with my hot take. So this is more to defend the sanctity of being Italian. Now, my extra hot take with Two Sugars is, if you're Australian, don't pronounce your coffee order in Italian. So what I'm saying is, if you order a latte or a cafe latte and you go and say, you speak like I do. Imagine I'm a bogan Australian and I go to a cafe and I say, I'll have a cafe latte. Doesn't that just sound stupid? Does that not just sound like ridiculous? A piccolo.
He also looks stupid. No, if you're not watching, he also looks like an idiot saying it.
Like, totally. And or like when you go to a patisserie and you go, can I have a croissant? Shut up. Or it's like your friend that goes to Europe. It was like, before they went to Europe, let's go get a thing of paella. Or after, oh, you want to go get some paella? It's like, I can't stand it. Pronounce it in your own accent.
We had someone that used to come in the restaurant, they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll get 2 Cokes, we'll get some bread for the table, and then we'll get the bruschetta. We'll get the bruschetta, and then maybe 2 more ice creams.
Keep it authentic. I've had a gutful. Don't come ask me in when you're Australian for a cafe latte. Ask for a cafe latte. I don't mind you saying cafe latte. Just don't pronounce it Italian.
Wait, question. Which one are Italians are that going to be more offended by? Do they prefer us saying it in our own accent and not butchering their pronunciation, or would they prefer us to take more effort to probably say it correctly?
Oh, no, I think, I think they'd probably prefer, like, stay away from us, you Australian swine, pronounce your own way.
We
I might disagree.
Yeah, we got hammered about the cafe latte by an individual and about how we pronounced it and did it wrong. But I felt so disrespectful pretending to be Italian.
What a weird balance.
So, I think it's...
Comes from a place of love, Italy. Comes from a place of love.
Yeah. It almost feels a bit like sarcastic, or you're having a go at people if you are trying to say it in their language. So that's why I'm not for it at all.
Well, which of you has the spicier hot take, do you reckon?
I don't know. You can...
Because we should... All right, you go next.
All right.
Straight down the barrel of the camera.
Yeah, down the barrel.
Takeaway coffee is killing the Australian coffee culture.
Ooh.
I need you to elaborate.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, look, after our trip to Milan, Italy, we were sort of really actually quite inspired about the Italian culture of coffee. We always sort of thought, well, great machines, but the coffee wasn't really that great. But the moment in time of actually getting together, having a cup of coffee, a good cup, taking the time to brew something beautiful for your friends, connect with people and talk to them, is something I'm actually really jealous about now. And I think with everything that's happened over the last few years, the takeaway coffee has just been this thing where we can just, pay, heaps of money. We're working harder to do all these different crazy alternative milks and really be this specialist cocktail kind of drink that everyone wants multiple times a day, and they want it super fast. The espresso that you can get at a bar in Italy for €1, maybe that's what we need to do. We just need to have this quick grab and go product. But if you want that delicate almond milk, soy, latte, upside down, whatever, sit down, take a moment, enjoy the people and respect the baristas who are doing it to make you a great cup.
Maybe remove takeaways just altogether. Waste, helpful for that. Sit in only.
What percentage of coffee sold in Australia is takeaway though? Surely it's more than half.
Well, it has to be because McDonald's is the largest seller of coffee in Australia, and that's pretty much, I'm sure it would all be mostly takeaway.
Oh, the environmental impacts of takeaway cups, we know is huge, right?
Yeah.
It's a big issue everywhere. But, if we can get back to sitting down and spending time together, having a cup of coffee together, in cafes, that's really what cafes are about, right? We're sort of avoiding or pushing away from it. Yes, the home market's going to be there, but let's get back to cafes.
You'll have to check me on this fact, but crazy fact I heard the other day, I think it's biodegradable cups are actually have more impact on the environment than the plastic cups, especially just from like the amount of resources that have to go into making them. It has a way bigger carbon footprint, way bigger carbon footprint on the planet than just like the polyethylene cups or whatever. So it's like, it's so hard to know what to do. Can't win. Just drink it in the cafe. That's the best option.
That's it. Get to know your barista. Get him to make you beautiful coffee. Know his name's Tim or whatever it might be. And
I'm really jealous when I see people sitting in a cafe just reading a newspaper. Let's bring newspapers back.
Yeah, bring back the newspaper. I like that one.
I feel like that was like what you would aspire to when you grow up and retire. You get to sit in cafes and read a newspaper and just sit and enjoy your time.
I love seeing the old blokes down in the library, just down here in Carlton, always just sitting and reading the free newspaper in the corner. I'm like, that's the life.
Oh man, take a look at my life. I'm a lot like you. We love a bit of Neil Young.
Yeah.
All right.
Last hot take. We're running long here.
No, I'm looking forward to this one.
Oh, yeah.
So my hot take is that the big coffee companies are spoiling it for the little guys, and they're ruining it with just buying everyone equipment, and they're not focusing on making great coffee.
Oh, all right. If I'm to be an anger translator here, are you sort of pointing more at wholesale coffee roasters?
Or a wholesale thing. So I'm in that world. I'm talking to cafes. They're coming to me. They're talking about, I'd love to work with you and you like have your coffee and stuff. And then this rep will just get in their ear and be like, oh yeah, 3 group, 2 grinders, don't really care how much coffee you sell. And they're like, oh yeah, we do training. Yep, there'll be training included. And those cafes are they're distracted by the shiny new toys to the point that it's not necessarily going to be a benefit to them. And they might be connecting themselves with a big company that doesn't, look after them, doesn't support them. And it's making it hard. It would be very hard for someone to start a new roastery now unless you had some serious capital. If I were to
chime in here, so you're kind of talking about, so for the new listener coming in, you're kind of talking about, so a cafe rather, might use coffee from whatever roaster, and then you've got another roaster coming in who has no relationship with them, comes and offers them just like a ridiculous deal that includes tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and then they kind of win up more business doing that. They might not necessarily make money off that, but they kind of
it's like you said before, they do have the market. They can buy heaps of machines and they get better price. Their costs are down. So I think that's where the big guys are, like the separation of wealth there, I think is getting bigger from the small roasters. It's great to see cafes. I mean, we love that cafes support us. We can help them with equipment, but we're still a small business. It's still out of Luke's pocket to really invest in them. And I think that's culturally, we want to maintain that. We're investing in your business. We're helping you. And if you're lucky enough to buy your own equipment and take that on yourself, and there's obviously business benefits that can come with that. But I think to maintain the cafe culture and cafe businesses and raise the profile, we want people to have that equipment, but not at the cost of competing and dropping our prices to match up with big guys that just aren't going to be there day in, day out to support them and look after those cafes.
I would put a point to argue there as well. It's not actually always a good business decision to go for that deal that's offering you coffee at a cheaper price and offering you all of that equipment, because then your product changes and then the way it's delivered to customers changes. I feel like there's probably little scenario in which you change to a supplier where you save more money, where it actually benefits your business long term. Like, I feel like you actually go backwards over the long run. You might see an immediate kind of, bump to your bottom line, like in a positive way. But I think over time that kind of dissolves, because there's more to coffee than getting a cheap machine, getting cheap coffee per kilo. It's the relationship, and that's kind of what your customers are after as well.
Yeah. You put a good barista on a crappy machine, you should be able to make a good coffee. If you know your way around coffee, and that's really what we want to educate people on, and recipes, and you can get on a random machine and be like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's dial in and work out how to make a good coffee on this equipment. I think equipment's really important to maintain those variables, and it's a big part of it. But I think just generally coffee comes down to making coffee, good beans in the bag.
I think I know some reps that are going to come up to Coffs Harbour and hunt you down for saying this. Yeah, they're going to really come.
I mean, my customers tell me, they call me and they say, hey, these guys dropped in today. Yeah. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, it always works out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. From a business perspective, we then are in a position to focus on trying to repay back a massive asset rather than actually focus on the customer like we do, business support or marketing, or actually teaching people how to run a better cafe and what they can do. So the focus of the industry has really changed just around, trying to repay this asset, as opposed to actually helping people and spend time and energy. Even from a business perspective, I could have multiple more people supporting more cafes if we didn't have to provide gear.
Yeah. I think it's a really interesting way of looking at it. Also, it feels like for the cafe owner, you're free at not having those connections as well, where you can kind of be more in charge of your own business.
It's a cash flow thing. To a lot of small cafes, whether they can supply themselves and get to that point, how quickly can they get to that point and afford it? That comes back to how much you're going to spend investing on your fit out, or are you investing on your equipment? So
now, guys, I mean, that probably brings us roughly to the end of it. What an amazing chat. So much wealth of information over here. Really, really insightful stuff. I just want to quickly throw it to Kirk just one time, just at the end. Sometimes in life it's nice to put out a bit of positivity. Kirk, who's someone in your life right now that's really special and means a lot to you?
My girlfriend?
I just want you to take a minute here to talk to the camera, and just what do you have to say to your girlfriend and what she means to you right now and how you're feeling? I think it's just nice to share the love and tell people what you think.
I don't know where this has come from, but I'm not going to give away names, but Pookie, love you dearly. I'm going to come back home. I'm going to share the sticky day pudding this time. We're going to share the sticky day pudding. Favorite meals? I don't know why the hell you're asking me this.
I'm just bringing some love and positivity to the pod.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
There is, behind every great man, there's wonderful women and families. And look, I want to give a shout out to all the wives of our team here, because we were set to fly out on Father's Day at 3:30. And we didn't realize it was Father's Day when we booked all this to come down. And we're like, okay, we can have a morning with our kids. And then Qantas cancelled our flight.
Yeah.
So at 5 o'clock in the morning, get a text, and I had to give these guys literally an hour to get to the airport. Ryan's 45 minutes away from the airport. There was not much Father's Day brekkie, not much Father's Day love, and they all brought it forward. So, look, shout out to the families. We love you all. Thanks so much for supporting your husbands. Maybe Father's Day another day.
That was amazing. Kirk, what's happening there that I jumped to you to say something nice to someone you care about? You were so hesitant towards it, but then he just jumps in straight away and just gives this beautiful, heartfelt message. That warmed my heart. That was a lovely sentiment.
I'm skeptical about your intentions. I have no problem dropping a bit of L-bomb.
Just some positivity. Kirk, I love you. You've put a lot of work into these pods and doing this. I think you're doing an amazing job. Guys, I love you both. It's been great getting to know you online and now here in the pod and doing it in person. I'm sure we'll have you back many times on the pod over the coming years. That's going to bring us to the end of... Liam. We'll give Liam a shout out. He's a beautiful... adorable little Labrador. I'm going to say... etch boy.
I'm going to say a quick little I love you to you too, Ron.
Thank you so much. Look, guys, that brings us to the end. Make sure to shoot any messages, any hot takes that you have, anything you want to say on the pod to hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. Hit us on the socials, follow us up there, and as always, it's just coffee. Hey.
I was so jacked up on 4.
Ready to go.